Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. My name's Stephanie and today I'm going to be sharing my favorite flaky nail polishes with you. So as you can probably tell by the length of this video, I really love flakies. I have a ton to share today and I kind of split them up in 3 categories to try and make it a little bit easier at least. But as always, I will have everything in the description box down below and share my usual collages at the end. But yeah, this is a long one, so go grab a snack, something to drink, and let me just show you my favorites. So starting with toppers, the first one I have is Cirque's Sunkissed, which I've shared a few times before on my channel. This is basically your standard gold metallic flaky in a clear base. I just happen to have Cirques in my collection, but whichever brand that you have, a gold flake topper is just a staple in your collection. So for my toppers, I'm going to be showing them over a milky pink base since that's how I prefer wearing them, as well as over white and black. But personally, I think a gold topper can look good over anything. It just adds the perfect detail. Next, I have a few ILNP toppers, starting with Compass, which is a copper metallic flake in a clear base. So I know it might look similar to Sunkissed, but the slight color difference is just so beautiful. I think it just adds a nice, cozy warmth. I think this one is so pretty in the fall, especially over dark colors where you can see it pop a bit more. I just really love the look of the copper. I think it's a really great alternative if, for whatever reason, you're not a fan of a standard gold flake topper. Next is Empress, which is a rose gold metallic flaky in a clear base. So I don't know if you know, but I love pink and therefore I also love rose gold. So I was freaking out over this one when it first came out. I just thought it was so pretty and everything that I needed in a topper. I especially love this in the springtime because it gives me soft, dainty, fairy kind of vibes, especially over lighter colors like this sheer pink, but it really does pop over darker shades too. Like, I cannot wait to try this over a really dark purple color. I feel like that would look so cool. So this one might not be a staple in everybody's collection, but it definitely is in mine. And the last ILNP topper I have is Confetti, which is a rainbow mix of metallic flakies in a clear base. And I mean an actual mix of rainbow colored flakies, not rainbow as in they're holographic. This one is so fun and I especially love wearing it in the summer months. I really love how bright the flakies are in this one. Like, other metallic flakies can sometimes have a really silver kind of look so you can't really tell the colors, but these colors really pop even if they are super tiny. I normally like to wear this over sheer pink for a subtle but still very fun look, but honestly, this topper is just so fun. It adds so much life to whatever base you put it over. The next topper I have is Cuticula's Candy Crush, which is another metallic rainbow flaky mix, but as you can tell, the shards in this one are a lot bigger. So this one can be a little bit base heavy, but I personally don't find it too difficult to work with. I think as long as you shake it up or turn the bottle upside down for a little bit, you'll be able to get out all the little shards and place them however you want. But yeah, I absolutely love this one. I was totally influenced by Larissa from Polished Lab Rat when she shared this one a couple of years ago, and it is easily one of my favorite toppers in my whole collection. I just love how prismatic it looks. Lastly, I have a few toppers from Holo Taco, the first being their most recent called Fallen Flake Taco, and this is a metallic multi-chrome flaky. So as you probably know, I'm not the biggest fan of multi-chromes because I'm just really picky with the color combinations, but I really love the color shifts in this one. It primarily has a copper and magenta color to it head on that is just so warm and perfect for fall, but it also shifts to a cool yellow and green in extreme angles. It's literally like crushed leaves in a bottle. Next are my two favorite unicorn skins from Holo Taco. The first one is Solar Unicorn Skin, which is a fiery red to orange to yellow iridescent flaky. This is another one that just gives me total fall vibes with the color shifts, and I think it looks even more glowy than the last one, for example, because of that iridescent kind of material where it's more transparent like cellophane. It just has such a cool look, whether it's on its own, but these iridescent glitters really transform over the different bases that you put it. I especially love this one over white because it just turns the flakies blue and gives me instant opal vibes. It is just so pretty. And my last topper is Holo Taco's Aurora Unicorn Skin, which is a blue to purple to pink iridescent flaky. So I'm generally a big fan of iridescent flakies or polishes in general, as you'll see, but when they have this blue to purple to pink shift going on, it just absolutely gets me. I'm such a sucker for that color combination. I think it's just so pretty and flattering and so magical too. Personally, I think this one looks really cool and maybe the best over darker colors. It kind of reminds me of neon lights over black or something. I don't know. It's just really, really cool, but I don't really love it over white because the flakies kind of turn this weird yellowish green color. So the next category I have is micro flakies, or ultra fine flakies as Mooncat calls them, and this first one is Tectonic Shift from their pretty prehistoric collection a few months ago. This one has a soothing seafoam green jelly base, and the flakies have this really stunning yellow to orange to pink shifting microflake, giving it such a pretty contrast. I especially love layering this one up in 3 coats just to build up that beautiful base color, but you could definitely wear it in 2 for a slightly squishier look. I think these ultra-fine flakies are just so pretty. They're definitely a lot more dense than the toppers, for example, so they just look really cool when they get layered and you have so much more of them on your nail. This one specifically dries down matte, which does look cool, but I prefer it glossy. This next one shouldn't be a surprise since I shared it in my summer favorites. This is Mooncat's Catfished, which is an electric blue microflake in an ocean blue colored base, truly giving the most perfect mermaid vibes. This one, like many others you'll see, would have made it to my favorite blues video, but I only just posted that a couple of days ago and I just didn't want to repeat it too soon. But yeah, I prefer layering this one in 3 coats just to really build up that base color and layer all of those flakies. Since they're so densely packed, I feel like it almost gives it a foily or metallic look the more coats that you do, and in combination with the color, it truly is reminiscent of a mermaid tail or something. It is just so beautiful and dazzling, especially in the summertime. I couldn't mention Mooncat Ultrafine Flakies without mentioning the iconic House of Hades. This was from their somewhat recent Underworld collection, and this was the shade that sold out in record time. It's this deep midnight indigo jelly base with an almost neon cobalt blue flaky that absolutely glows. Like, look at that. That is insane. And I know it's only the first coat, which doesn't really look flattering, so once you layer on a second coat and really build it up, it just has this super glowy, lit from within kind of look that is just so eye-catching. I cannot get over how good this looks. It does kind of have an indigo leaning color to it, but I think in most lighting it really does look like a true sapphire blue. Next I have Wildflower's Foxfire, which I grabbed recently from Polish Pickup a couple of months ago. So I normally don't grab enough from Polish Pickup to do monthly hauls, so I like the idea of saving everything for one big video at the end or beginning of the year, going over everything that I bought, but there's a few shades that I had to share in this video. So this one has a vibrant aqua to green to purple microflake in a bright turquoise jelly base. At first, I wasn't going to get this one because I thought it might be too similar to Catfish, just a little bit darker. But honestly, the more swatches that I saw, the more I knew I was going to regret it if I didn't get it. And now that I have it, I have no regrets. This one is just so eye-catching and mesmerizing. Speaking of shades I had to include, here are swatches of Dakota, Penny, and Hayride from ILNP's Harvest collection from last fall. Just know that the entire collection is included as a favorite because they're all that good, but for time's sake, I'm only going to be showing 3 of them. I debated on even including these at first because I thought maybe they were more like shimmers. They're even described that way on the website. But if you look at any close-up macro shots, you can see that these look more like irregular, flaky particles. At least they do to me, so that's why they're here. But yeah, this whole collection was so freaking pretty. If you never grab them, I just cannot recommend them enough. I feel like this whole collection was everybody's favorite last year. They are just so beautiful, and these 3 especially make for a beautiful fall gradient. Another ILNP microflake I love is Lured from last year's Halloween collection. This is a bright aqua metallic flake in a black jelly base, and I just think this color combo is so cool. I never would have thought of pairing such a bright color with a black base, but it just works so well. In my initial review, I said it reminds me of a siren luring you out to sea, which is just so terrifying, but it's just the image I get right away. And this one also gave me Scorpio vibes since they're a brooding and mysterious water sign. Even though this one is seemingly simple, I just find it to be really unique and just so beautiful. Next, I have Painted Polish's Icy Inkling, which is an inky blue jelly base featuring red, gold, and turquoise metallic microflakes. So even though there's only 3 colors listed in the microflake description, I feel like there's just so much more than that. This really has such a colorful look to those flakies in that deep indigo kind of base color. It just pops so much and looks so pretty and fun while also being kind of like dark and mysterious at the same time. I just really love the contrast of this one. And this one might look familiar because it kind of is similar to What's Up Nail's Squid Escape, which I also really loved, but I do think the color of the flakies pops so much more in this one. And my last and biggest category I have is for general jelly or Crellie flaky polishes. Starting with some more Mooncat, this first one is Curiosity's Prey, which is a milky white Crellie base that has a blue shimmer and iridescent flakies that shift from gold to green and blue to purple. It's definitely very dainty and ethereal, but still has a lot of color going on. I just love this one so much. I think it's so pretty. And I originally shared this last year as one of my favorites for Libra season because it resembles the October birthstone, the opal, so much, especially once it's built up. So I personally prefer wearing this one in 3 coats once it does have a little bit more opacity to it, but I do think it's sheer enough to be layered in 1 coat over white, or maybe even over a lighter color too. I just never really tried it. I always go for what's in the bottle. Next is Mooncat's Moonfairy, which came out in last year's Once Upon a Fairy Tale collection. This one is a soft pinky lilac Crellie base that's pretty much packed with the same kind of iridescent flakies as Curiosity's Prey, where they shift from like gold to green and blue to purple. They look really similar to me, at least. I think this shade just reminds me of butterfly or fairy wings. It's just so whimsical and dainty with this beautiful ethereal glow due to those flakies. I personally love wearing this one in 3 coats because you get more of that lilac kind of base color built up, and it's just so pretty. But I also love how this looks in 2 coats. It just has a slightly softer look. So of course, I had to include a few of my favorites from Mooncat's Kaleidoscope Haze collection, starting with my top favorite, Strangeberry. This is basically a hot pink jelly base with gold iridescent flakies. It's pretty simple compared to the last two shades especially, but I just think it looks so lush and juicy. This base color is like the perfect shade of hot pink for me, and the gold flakies really stand out even when you build it up in 2 or 3 coats. They don't really get lost or covered up by the base color too much, so they just really glow. Another one I wanted to share is actually Mood Ring, which is a vibrant and psychedelic purple jelly base with blue and pink iridescent flakies. Obviously, honorable mentions to Lava Lamp and basically the rest of the collection, but today we're showing some love to Mood Ring because look at how stunning this one is. It again has that pink, purple, and blue color combination that I'm just a sucker for, and even though I wasn't the biggest fan of these red or pink leaning purples, this one is just another super juicy kind of shade, and it provides such a beautiful contrasting base for those flakies to glow. I especially love pairing this one with Strangeberry, whether it's in a Skittle or just like a lazy gradient. These two are gorgeous. So I know mint chocolate chip is not for everybody, and neither are black flakies, but I had to include this one. This is Painted Polish's Mint Chip Madness, and this was a part of this massive rainbow release a few months ago that featured all black matte flakies in different colored bases, which I know is just so divisive. But this one easily takes the crown for me because it's literally mint chocolate chip on your nails. It's just so satisfying. I'm not even a huge fan of mint chip ice cream, but I actually am a sucker for those York peppermint patties. But I still love the bright minty green base in this one so much. Back to polish pickup sneak peeks. The next polish I have is from Danglefoot Polish, and this is Iris-istible from Polish Pickup a few months ago. I saw someone I follow on Instagram swatch this, and I immediately fell in love, so I had to grab it. This is a sheer blue base with a purple to blue shifting shimmer and a glowing blue to purple iridescent flaky. This is another one that gives me super ethereal and magical vibes. The flakies remind me of delicate flower petals and overall just invoke such a calming feeling. This absolutely glows when it's built up on its own, but I'm really curious to try it layered as well. I feel like it would just look so pretty over a very light blue or light purple base. I just can't wait to try it. The only kind of complaint that I have about this one is that it happens to be one of those stinky blues. Next, I have an older PPU shade. This is Nailed It's Mallow-dramatic, which is this light cotton candy pink jelly base that's absolutely packed with gold iridescent flakies, and I think a super fine hollow sparkle as well. So this one was actually gifted to me by my bestie whenever it came out. I think maybe last year or maybe the year before that. I feel like it's been a while, but I just absolutely adore this one. It's basically like the pink version of Mooncat's Moonfairy, so duh, of course I had to include it as a favorite. I especially love how warm those gold flakies look in this one. I don't know if it's the base color or what, but it just overall has this really warm glow that just makes it feel like it has that lit from within kind of look. I just think it's so inviting and flattering. I just want to swim in this polish. This is another one that's super densely packed too, so when it's built up with more layers, it kind of reminds me of crushed iridescent seashells or something. Which again, might not be for everybody, especially if you like a more scattered, flaky look, but I just think this one is so pretty. So next I have a few ILNP jelly flakies, starting with Whisper, which came out in last year's Golden Hour collection. I feel like the actual gold shimmery kind of polishes from that release sort of eclipsed this one, but I think this shade is just so soft and romantic. It has this super delicate blush pink jelly base with a gold to green iridescent flake. It admittedly might not look like much, especially in one coat, but I think this is such a perfect color for a barely there kind of mani, or if you want something that's neutral with like a slight pop of glowiness to it. But obviously I think this one looks better the more you build it up, especially once it's in 3 coats. The next one is ILNP's Up Above, which came out earlier in this year's second spring collection. So while this one didn't stand out as much in comparison to some of the other shades in that release, I still absolutely adore how dainty this one is. It's a light, almost powdery cornflower blue jelly base with that same gold to green iridescent flaky, and this one also has a delicate dusting of holo as well. I think this one has such a light and airy feel to it. It is just so refreshing and pretty. Maybe another contender for the blueberry milk nails trend, but either way, this one is so gorgeous, especially when it's built up in 3 coats. I would love to see ILNP release more of these jelly flaky kind of polishes. I think they're so pretty. For a complete 180 though, I have ILNP's Hex, which is this fiery orange to yellow and green iridescent flake in a black jelly base. So this one also came out in last year's Halloween collection next to Lured, and honestly, I think this was the top Halloween shade released last year, at least in my opinion. It's just so spooky with how the flakes absolutely glow against that black base. It reminds me of embers you'd see in a campfire in the middle of the night when you're telling scary stories. Honestly, just even talking about it gives me shivers down my spine. Yes, I am afraid of the dark, okay? But if I wasn't, then this is the shade I would wear if I was doing some casual witchcraft in the middle of a forest under a full moon. This next one is my last PPU sneak peek. This is Graceful Polishes Rainforest Raindrops, which is this deep emerald green jelly base with chameleon color shifting flakes that go from green to aqua with flashes of purple in extreme lighting. This is definitely very green heavy head on though. This one absolutely caught my eye when I was browsing the polish pickup site that month. I was just so captivated by how bright the flakies glowed, especially against the dark base. I'm sure you can tell by now I'm a bit of a sucker for that contrast. I just wish this came with a wider brush for better application, but other than that, I am absolutely obsessed. This one is just so cool, especially for the fall. So rounding up my favorites, we have a few more Mooncats, starting with this recently retired shade called Supernatural. It's this colorful mix of iridescent yellow, blue, purple, and pink flakies in a deep magenta jelly base. I had my eyes on this one for a while and had to grab it when they announced that I was going to be retiring. It's such a shame because it really is such a stunning shade. It's almost like a darker or moodier version of Mood Ring, but with more colorful flakies. I really love this almost plummy kind of base color so much, so I really hope that they bring something back that's a little bit similar at least, maybe with a different shimmer or flaky kind of particle, but this base color is just everything that I love for fall. Next is When Hell Freezes Over, which was one of those single release limited edition kind of shades. I'm honestly not a fan of those LE drops that Mooncat does because it's just a single polish dropped in between collections, so I rarely pick them up myself, but I fell in love with this one the moment that I saw it. I don't know why. Well, no, I do know why. It just is a niche reference, but this one immediately reminded me of the character Sub-Zero from the video game Mortal Kombat. I really love those games. I played them growing up with my brother, which I probably shouldn't have, but that's what happens when you have an older brother. and I unironically love the movies. So I don't know how many gamers watch me, but I'm just so excited about the latest game that came out. Just don't look it up if you're squeamish or sensitive to gore or violence or anything. But anyway, this polish I'm pretty sure was not inspired by that character at all. It's just the connection my brain made as soon as I saw it. It's this really icy aqua blue flaky in a deeper blue base, and it is just so stunning, especially once it's built up to full opacity in 3 coats. So these last 2 Mooncat shades are ones that are still available, the first one being Triceratops from the Pretty Prehistoric collection. This one is definitely on the simple side again, kind of similar to the Kaleidoscope jellies, and this one has aqua and green flakes that shift to purple and cobalt blue in extreme angles, all in a medium gray jelly base. The flakies in this one definitely remind me of opals again, and especially against the gray base, it reminds me of those people who like crack open those rocks and they unveil these beautiful opals inside. I'm not sure if you've seen those videos. They're just so stunning and mesmerizing, and that's the vibe that I get from this polish. This is another one that dries down matte, but I love it with a glossy top coat. And last but certainly not least, we have Stumped from the Lost in a Folktale collection, which is a warm brown jelly base with glowing orange to yellow to green shifting flakes. This came out in the spring, so while I didn't wear it back then, I knew that I would be loving this one in the fall, and I'm so right. I am obsessed with this one. It gives me such mystical woodland vibes, almost like a less scary version of ILNP's Hex, if that makes sense. It's just fall in a bottle. It is literally so beautiful, and you can get lost in this shade. And finally, the collages. So first up, we are looking at the toppers. So here they are over a milky pink. Sorry that some of the bases are a little uneven. Then here they are over white, so you can see how they change up. Obviously, the biggest changes are going to be those iridescent flakies like the Solar and Aurora unicorn skins. And then here they are over black. So maybe Compass and Empress are kind of hard to tell apart, but I still need them both. So for this first collage, it focuses on more of the yellow to orange, fiery, kind of warm, flaky colors. And this next collage focuses on the cooler shades, like all of the blue flakies and some of the greens and purples. So you can see I have a lot of blue polishes here that would have been in my blue favorites video, but it just would have been so long. So yeah, hopefully the way that I split these up into the collages makes sense, because it makes sense in my mind. So finally, that wraps up my favorite flaky nail polishes. So as always, I would love to know what your thoughts are on my favorites, especially if we have any in common, or just let me know what some of your favorite flakies are. Because I feel like when it comes to flakies, they can already be so divisive, where some people really love them and love them in everything, but then other people just absolutely hate them. They're tired of them being in every polish. And I definitely am very much in the middle ground, where I am a sucker for a good flaky, but I'm also kind of picky with them. Like, I think from seeing my collages, you can see I have a type where I really love the golden kind of yellowy glow of flakies. I also really like iridescent flakies, and very obviously blue flakies. I think they're just so pretty. But yeah, you'll have to let me know what your preferences are, or just any and all thoughts that you have down below, so we can chat about it. But thank you again for hanging out with me in this super long video. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.